Hey everyone, I'm Mind, and this is set number 70734, Master Wu Dragon from the LEGO Ninjago Possession Wave. This set contains 575 pieces, 4 minifigures, and originally retailed for $39.99 in the US when it first released back in 2015. This video is of course a part of my Ninjago throwback review series, so let me know in the comments which set you want to see a throwback review on next. It could be any set from 2011 to 2018, while I don't have them all, I do have a lot of them, and I may use your suggestion for next week's Ninjago throwback review. But now, with all that being said, let's get into this review. So here's the main build of the set, of course the Master Wu Dragon itself, and when the set came out, I remember thinking that the value on this set was crazy. And I mean, yeah, I still feel that way to this day. Nearly 600 pieces for only $40, and it's not like they compromised on minifigures or anything either. Like, you still get 5 total minifigures in the set, which is a lot for $40. This set was an incredible deal, and I remember when it came out, I also thought it was a really good build. But now looking back, I don't think it holds up as well as I remember. It's still a good set, don't get me wrong, but I thought it was one of the coolest sets ever when I was younger, but now comparing it to more modern dragons, I don't think it's nearly as good. Obviously, builds going to grow and evolve over time, so modern dragons are expected to be better than older dragons like this one, but even comparing this to some of the dragons that came before that I reviewed, I might like some of them more. But yeah, now let's take a look at every individual bit of this build up a little bit closer. Starting with the head of the dragon, I remember this was the part that I thought was the coolest when this came out. My favorite part was like the mustache at the front of the face that uses the Unicity tail pieces. I thought that was such creative parts usage, and yeah, that still works well to this day. Looking at the dragon from like the front of the face, I actually think the head looks quite good, with the eyes peeking up over the mustache. The shaping of everything looks really good from this angle. Turning it to the side though, unfortunately I don't think it looks nearly as good from other angles. I do like what they did with the eyes, using the blue pieces with a black bar through it to look like pupils, and they use like these tentacle pieces to be the beard coming down. But yeah, the rest of the head just feels a bit blocky to me, which is a bit disappointing. And the mouth especially I think could look better. This is just very flat and plain, so I can't say I'm the biggest fan of that. It also just connects on with like the battle droid arm pieces, which are never the best connection. I do like the use of the sci-fi blaster pieces as well as the croissant pieces out the back. That's very creative shaping, as well as like the eyebrows of the eyes, which is a piece that's typically used on like cars. So yeah, I'd say the head's a mixed bag overall. From certain angles it actually looks quite good, but from other angles it does leave a little bit to be desired. You can see the head connects onto the neck of the mini ball joint, and there's one little neck section right here which is on a rigid hinge, so that can be moved up and down. So there's a decent bit of articulation there, all things considered. Not like the best articulation of any Ninjago dragon ever, but I think it's solid for what it wants to be. But now coming onto the dragon's back, you can see there's a saddle with a seat for Wu to sit. They use like a crate piece to be the actual saddle, and I think that's quite creative. There's almost like a license plate out the back, and it says Wu Sensei, though it's written with a combination of letters and numbers. But yeah, I think the crate works surprisingly well, and Sensei Wu fits in there just fine. There's a little clip on the side of the dragon that holds his weapon for Wu, and that of course can be removed. There's a look at that up closer. It's just like a staff with tooth pieces coming off of it. And then on the other side you have these flags, and it looks like my sticker placement was really bad back in 2015. So I apologize for that, I know that bothers some people. But yeah, the flags just have these little golden dragons on it, and I think those work well. They actually look quite cool. Coming down the dragon's back a little bit more, I love the waviness of everything. These golden pieces with the white pieces on the inside look so good. And then the tail at the very end is quite simple, but I mean it's effective at what it wants to be. The very base of the tail is very similar to the neck, where it's connected on with the rigid hinges, but of course there's a bit of articulation there. And then the tail itself is made up of multiple segments that are each on their own mini ball joint, so there's just a huge range of posability there, and it's topped off with like this golden saw piece. They maybe could have made these sections a little bit more detailed, but you know what, it's fine for what it wants to be. It's basic for sure, but it does keep things thin, so I think it's fine, all things considered. Underneath the dragon, you can see that waviness continues, and they actually use dark orange down here, which is a really cool color, and that's a nice way to set this dragon apart from other Ninjago dragons. The bottoms of dragons don't always look the best, so I'm really glad they took the time to make sure this looked good, and I love whenever they use a different color for the underside of the dragons. It just helps them feel more realistic, like lizards in real life, right? Often lizards will have a different colored belly than they have on their back, so I'm so glad they captured that there, and yeah, you can see they use those rounded gold pieces again to give it that like wavy mystical feel. There's also 2 yellow mugs hanging down here, which are just super fun. You can use them just as drinks, but I also feel like they do a decent job to add to the dragon's overall appearance. And then the legs of the dragon I think are probably the weak points. The legs themselves are fine, so they connect on rigid Technic joints. They may be a little bit small considering how big the dragon itself is, but I think they're fine. However, what I'm not the biggest fan of are just the feet. They use the SCCBS feet, which were just common at the time. They don't really use these anymore. But yeah, when everything else is brick built, including the head, the feet just being these giant molded pieces doesn't really work in my opinion. Kinda wish there was some proper claws here, and you can see that's the exact same thing going on the other side. I mean, it's fine for posability and whatnot, but it just doesn't look the best in my opinion. I much prefer the brick built feet that we get nowadays. You can see the back legs are pretty much the exact same build as the front legs though, just mirrored. And then finally, looking at the wings of the dragon, these are awesome. They use like these electricity pieces in gold. and that is just such a unique part. I love how big the wings are too. Sometimes in Ninjago Dragons, the wings are like a very insignificant part of the build, and I mean, it's fine when that happens, but I love how prominent these are too. Typically, I prefer like cloth or vinyl wings, but for brick built wings, this is about as good as you can get. They feel like one cohesive build, and they also fit like the spectral vibes of the dragons, right? Because this dragon's not supposed to be a physical dragon, it's an elemental dragon. It's conjured using Wu's elemental essence, and I feel like this represents it perfectly. And there's actually a good bit of articulation on these wings too. You can flap them up and down and move them forward and back just a little bit. Yeah, I think this dragon's pretty solid all around. Posability's pretty great too, because even though he does use a lot of pieces, he's actually still pretty light, so you can see it's very easy to get him in a walking pose like this. I'm honestly pretty happy with this build. As I said, it's not as good as I remember it, but that's because I remember it being one of the best sets ever. But now looking back, it's just really, really good. I do think the head doesn't look the best from every angle, though from some angles it does look really good, and I wish the feet on the dragon were a bit different, but those are very minor things, all things considered. This is a super creative and unique build, and I honestly really love it. But of course, that's not everything in this set, so now let's take a look at the side builds, then the minifigures, and then I'll give you my overall thoughts. So the first side build in this set is this little Aeroblade shrine, and this is actually really neat. Not sure why this is here, it was totally unnecessary in the set, like I don't think this ever appeared in the show anywhere, and I don't entirely understand the point of it, but hey, it actually looks super cool, and it's a significant build too, right? Even though it's a side build, it has a lot of parts in it. Genuinely makes me quite happy to see. I like this a lot. It just helps expand your Ninjago world, right? It looks great on display. Love the design at the top of the shrine with the sticker piece right here and all the different katanas coming out. I especially love how the katanas in the bottom connect. That's really surprising. We have two little white lanterns hanging down too, and then of course the Aeroblade in the center. The Aeroblades were the collectibles of the Ninjago Possession Wave, and this is the golden Aeroblade, which is of course meant for Master Wu. Now the Aeroblades didn't actually have any exclusive parts. The only exclusive part was the centerpiece right here, but all the Aeroblades use the same one. So if you had tooth pieces from other sets, you could very easily make the other Aeroblades if you wanted to, just with this piece. And I think the golden Aeroblade was one of the most common ones, so it wasn't like super exciting to get, but in my opinion, Aeroblades were fairly lame collectibles anyway. So yeah, it was just nice that you got at least one here. And then there's not a ton to the rest of this build. Each individual section's connected on with the mini ball joints, so as such, you're able to articulate it and change how this is displayed. So if you want things curved out this way instead, that's an option you have. Or you can have it completely straight like this, or you could do something much wackier. It's entirely up to you, but I love that customizability. We've got like this little stone pillar on the one side, and then on the other side there's a little turret for the ninja to use. Looking on the inside, you can see there's a viewfinder which has a picture of the Skreemer on it, which is of course one of the ghost villains in this set. So I guess you can have Cole or Master Wu tracking down the Skreemer. And then there's two flick missiles right here which you can either push in on or actually flick to shoot them out. And here's a look at how that looks. Depending on how hard you hit them, they can go a bit further. But yeah, all things considered, this is a totally unnecessary build, but one I am very happy is here. I actually like this a lot. And then the final side build in this set is this little cart for the ghost, and this is another one where it's like, did this need to be here? No, probably not. But am I happy that this is here? For sure, this is awesome. So you can see the front of the cart just has this bit right here where it could be pulled. And there's a couple of pretty cool spring green pieces. I really love these bone pieces in spring green. They fit the vibes of Possession perfectly. There's a little pot on the cart as well as a Power Miner's crystal piece. And the roof of the cart looks quite nice too. I love how uneven everything is, and they use the sticker piece, which is typically used for the ghost shields up here too. There's also a license plate in the cart to kind of match with the license plate on the actual Wu Dragon. And then there's a play feature with this too. If you push in on this Technic piece right here, that actually activates a disc shooter and will shoot a disc out. The discs are actually printed pieces with like these screaming ghost faces on them, and you get a total of 3 of them in the set. The disc shooter function can hold a total of 2 at a time, so you can see I've actually got one in there right now, but I can put the other one in while that one's still in there. Just push it back and out of the way, and there you go, load it back up. There you can see the extra one is just hidden inside. And then finally with this, the roof of the car can also just be folded down if you want. Not sure why you'd want to do that, but that's an option you have, though that'll block the disc shooter from shooting. So that is yet another really solid side build. I'm really glad that this set comes with a proper build for the villains. But now before we get to the minifigures, let's take a look at the non-minifigure characters in this set, starting with this guy, Skreemer. These guys came in a lot of the Possession sets, and I think they're actually quite cool. They're just like these little ghost guys. You can see they have clips for hands. This one's holding like a little spray paint can, and he's got this printed face with these purple eyes. There was a few different Skreemers across the different sets, though they were quite common. And the whole gimmick with them is you could put them on top of a minifigure's head to represent them being possessed. I always found that to be so much fun. Alien Conquest, which was a LEGO theme from when I was a kid, did a very similar thing, and that was like my favorite thing ever, to have the alien attach on top of minifigures' heads. So it makes me happy to see Possession did something similar with the Skreemers. These guys are genuinely quite cool. And then the other non-minifigure character in this set is Sensei Wu's dog. Now, why does Sensei Wu have a dog? Why is this dog come in 2 sets labeled as Sensei Wu's dog? I'm not sure. The husky mold is great. I love how it's still molded in white and dark gray. He's got a crossbow attached to his back, which is so much fun. I love how the crossbow is like the size of the entire dog. That's just so silly. And that, of course, could very easily be removed, and there's how the dog looks with it removed. This is another thing where, like, it absolutely did not need to be here, but I'm so happy it is. He's just so much fun. I love this guy. But now, finally, coming to the minifigures, here are the first two in this set. We of course have Master Wu, and then we have Deepstone Cole. This version of Master Wu is one of the most common Wu variants ever. He came in so many sets in this outfit. But I have to say, it's a pretty good one, and it's a very unique one too, which makes me very happy to see. It's like a proper battle suit for Wu, which is something we don't get all too often. We have gotten it a few times now, but it's not as common as just like his normal Sensei robes. And it actually looks quite cool. I love the gray hands on him. That definitely sets him apart from other Wu suits. And yeah, his main color scheme here is white, gray, and gold, when typically he uses more black, and he doesn't really use gray at all. I love the abundance of gray though. You can see around the back he's got his original symbol in gold as well as these two shurikens. And then of course he's got the beard and hat that he always has. Golden hat instead of like the tan hat, which I think works for this suit. But there's really not much else you could see on him until I remove that beard, so let me do that real quick. And there's a look at the face print, the full torso print. And yeah, that torso print's awesome. There's like little dragon faces around the bottom, that symbols everywhere. You can see it's printed in metallic gold up those robes. Genuinely looks awesome. He fits this dragon perfectly. And it's just a really cool Wu minifigure. I'm super happy with him. It's also nice to see Wu come in a relatively cheap set because he doesn't always come in a cheap set. Like a lot of the times he's kept exclusive to one of the bigger sets of the wave. So it's super nice to see him for only $40. And then Deepstone Cole I think is good. The Deepstone suits are really cool. I love whenever the ninja use black as the main color scheme. However, that always leaves Cole in a weird place because black is his main color. That leaves him using gray as a secondary color, and I do think that's not the best decision. I prefer when he uses orange or brown. And this suit does use a little bit of that. You can see he's got orange in the center as well as brown in his undershirt, and I think this is probably the first suit where he's really used either of those colors in like a prominent part of the suit. However, gray is still featured really prominently here, and specifically on the hood. I don't know, in my opinion, it's just not the most exciting. It doesn't make the figure bad by any means, and he still fits well with the other ninja, but I think especially when comparing him with the other Deepstone ninja, Cole's definitely the weakest one, because the gray just doesn't pop as much in my opinion. I am happy to see the orange at the center here, though. That does really help a lot. And then here's a look at his torso print with everything removed, as well as his back torso print, where you can see he has his original symbol back there, as well as two weapons. So yeah, two solid minifigures, both great inclusions in this set. I'm very happy with them. Now coming to the villain minifigures, here are the first two ghost minifigures in this set. Now these are two just generic ghosts that come in many sets, however in every set they had different names. And in this set specifically, this guy is called Pitch, and this guy is called Hackler. And you can see the parts on these two are very similar. They both use the exact same torso and leg prints. However, their face prints as well as their head accessories are completely different. But first, talking about the accessories in their hands, you can see this one comes with this stickered shield piece. As I mentioned before, this is the same sticker that's on like the front of the cart. And I think it looks quite cool. It definitely gives these guys a unique identity, because minifigure accessories are normally printed and not stickered. However, I suppose this is fine and it works for what it wants to be. And then his other accessory is like the spectral sword with an axe blade coming off of it. And that looks awesome. I love these ghost sword pieces that came in this wave. They were just some of the coolest parts we've ever seen. They're dual molded in dark green and trans lime green, and they fit that like spooky ghost feel perfectly. He also comes with a spring green katana out the back and the sword holder. That's the sword holder that was introduced for Deadpool back in 2012. Yeah, the accessories on this guy are absolutely awesome. The other one, the accessories are not nearly as awesome, just a classic LEGO pitchfork piece. I mean, it works for him, I suppose, but just nothing all too exciting, especially compared to this guy. But then taking a look at the torso and leg pieces, I mean, I love the leg piece. I love how it's all transparent. Seeing how the light shines through it all with the printing on top of it looks awesome. And then the torso print I think is solid. Not nearly as good as the leg print, but I mean it works for what it wants to be. I like the purple with the dark blue on top of it. And I think it's super cool how the clothing's all torn up, but also has that like spectral wavy feel to it all. There's that ghost symbol in the back of the torso too, and I'm not going to show you the back torso print on this guy because of course it's the same between the two of them. And then when it comes to head accessories, this guy comes with like a ghostly ninja hood that's dual in dark blue and trans lime green. I absolutely love the transparent color at the back because that allows the light to shine through and make his face illuminated. And it just looks awesome as well. That color really pops. Removing that piece though, there's a full look at his face print, which I think is great too. Just this really intense smile. He's got like vampire fangs and purple eyebrows. For a generic ghost, this fits perfectly. And then the other ghost has the Sensei Wu hat in purple, which was a really cool recolor to get, as well as the half-mask piece in dark blue, which is another pretty cool recolor. And then his face print I don't think is nearly as good. I much prefer the transparent faces. But the colors here are still quite neat. I especially like the spring green cheekbones. And then of course no alternate face on him nor on the other one because it would show through. And then the final minifigure in this set is Soul Archer, who is one of the main ghosts in Possession. And as such, he's also the coolest ghost minifigure in this set. I really like this guy. He's got the ghost armor piece, which was used on a few of the ghost minifigures this wave. But similar to the torso prints on the previous two minifigures, it's got that wavy spectral design with the holes in it. But then also this black shoulder armor, which just looks so cool. In terms of accessories, he comes with a little knife as well as a bow. And then he uses the LEGO ghost tail piece, which was all new for this wave. It fits these guys perfectly. I really like this ninja hood that he has at the top. I'm surprised this was never reused like outside of this wave. For just like normal ninja minifigures, you can see it's dual molded in dark blue as well as purple. And yeah, just a really nice molded part. And then removing the armor as well as the mask piece, there you can see the full face print as well as the full torso print. I actually quite like the torso print with a little metallic dagger as it fits like the knife that he has in his hand. And then his face print, you can see he's got a transparent face with a little beard on it, kind of similar to what Wu has. And then a headband around the top of his head, which actually continues around the back, which is a small thing, but it's a nice touch. You're never really going to see that if you have this figure completely together, so it's entirely unnecessary. But I am happy to see it, because it does add a little bit to this figure. There's a quiver around the back too, which of course makes sense for Soul Archer. And he's got that same ghost symbol that the rest of the ghosts have. So yeah, yet another great minifigure and a super fun one to get in this set. But overall, what are my thoughts on this set? I think this set is fantastic, honestly. Like, listen, while the build's not entirely perfect, it's still pretty darn good, especially for 2015. But the biggest thing is the value of this set. The value of this set is crazy. Only $40 and you get all of this. They could have sold the dragon alone with like 3 minifigures and that would have felt like a $40 value. But no, you also get 2 side builds and a total of 5 minifigures, and the minifigures are good too, right? Like, I think this was the cheapest way to get Possession Wave, at least as of the time this set came out. He did later come in a LEGO Dimensions pack, but we're not counting that. This wasn't the cheapest way to get Deepstone Cole, but it was one of the cheapest ways. And then Soul Archer was a really exciting minifigure to get. And then also 2 generic ghosts, as well as a Skreemer and a dog piece. Nearly 600 pieces for only $40. This set is fantastic. I cannot recommend it enough at original retail price. Now, of course, this set came out in 2015 and is now 2023. It's been 8 years, so I don't know if you can still find this for $40. I would assume not, but if you did ever happen to find this for retail, I would definitely recommend it at that price. But if you're looking for it on the aftermarket and it's more expensive, I don't know if you need it. The build's quite cool and very unique, but we definitely got better dragons in later years. So if you want something for possession, there might be better options out there now that this isn't like an incredible value set. And if you want a Master Wu Dragon, I think the one from Master of the Mountain is better and it's only $20 compared to $40. So I guess it's entirely your call depending on how much it actually costs in the aftermarket. But if I was reviewing this set back in 2015, I would call this set a must-have just because of what an incredible value it was for the price. But nowadays, it's just a solid set that's really fun to look back on. But of course, those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of this set in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, make sure to let me know in the comments which Ninjago set you want to see a throwback review on next. But as for this video, I think that's all I've got to say, so thanks for watching everybody, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!